Hello, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. You might notice that today's podcast is recorded a little bit late, but that's for a reason. So today I went outside and I walked for 200 million steps. Yeah, I burnt a lot of calories. Yeah, basically, I lost 70 kilograms just today. Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah, I had to go outside it because I wanted to buy a new computer, and yeah, and the dopamine rush just it makes you forget about walking, about just doing anything. And yeah, that's why the podcast is delayed. I just set up the computer and do other stuff with it. But on my way, I was listening to this podcast, and it was interesting. Definitely an interesting podcast. And they talked about emotions, and not just emotions. They talked about negative emotions and the presence of them. And they were talking about a society where, like, post evolution in some way, a society where we don't have negative emotions. And I thought that's like a very interesting topic to explore negative emotions. Are they really necessary? Because the podcasts I listen to argue that emotions aren't necessary, that therefore we should get rid of them, especially the negative ones. And if we are in this society where everybody's happy, everybody's, chilled, ecstatic, then yeah, this is going to be a peaceful world, right? And I thought that's going to be like interesting to explore today because think about it, like negative emotions, sadness, feeling annoyed, exhausted, and maybe disgust, all of these emotions, you can rid of them in just one instant. Probably it is going to be a drug that these companies are going to develop, and you take that drug and already exists, but it's going to send you in this like mode where you don't really need to like think about negative emotions. Nothing in life would make you angry or like just peaceful and just relax and chill and positive and happy. Yeah, that's interesting. But on the flip side of this, like there is always the other value, right? We understand things in comparison. If you feel sad, there was an opposite of emotion to that, like happy, right? If you have two contrasts of a thing, then you will be able to relate and to say something is better than the other one, right? For example, that feeling happy is better than feeling sad, right? So there is a contrast, and therefore we have an object of reference to understand that being sad is worse than being happy. But if there is just happy, if everybody's happy, then that emotion would not have a label, right? Would not call it a positive emotion. It's just going to be a state of thing, right? Without any negativity or positivity connotation to it, right? If everybody's happy, then nobody is gonna think of that as a thing. It's just gonna be like a mundane, a thing that people just feel, and and in a way, I think somehow your brain is just gonna not function the way it is supposed to, right? Because negative emotions help you survive for millions of years, and the fact that they are carved in your brain and we still have them until today, although evolution says something that is negative doesn't survive in the next species, but it seems that all negative emotions survive still, right? Although they are negatives, but there is some kind of reason why they survived, right? They help us bond, and help us, explore certain things. Imagine you're very sad and you just let yourself to be sad. Once you're sad, you start to figure out sometimes the problems, the root of a thing, right? That feeling of sadness sometimes help you explore what you need and what you're missing, right? It's in a protective mechanism that's try to help you analyze what's missing in your life. But if you're always happy and you're always, cheerful, I think you're going to be missing certain things. We cry, we feel sad, we feel annoyed, we feel frustrated sometimes because it is something that needs to change in our life, right? And something that was or messed up our routine or in life. If you go about your life and you don't really care about whatever happens, whatever interfere with the flow of your life, I guess you can just maybe take that pill of feeling happy all the time, and you don't really need to care about feeling sad and feeling depressed. And depressed is a little bit more extreme, but depressed is, I see depression in not I don't see it that way, but it is described that way. Depression is basically clinical, and it is something that is environmental, something that responds to a circumstance. Like I could feel depressed if I failed the exam, or I don't get a job, or I don't get this, or I don't get like the thing that or I don't get the thing that I really want to get, right? And I can also feel depressed without really thinking about it, right? Something that is in your brain. Your brain is hardwired to just make you feel depressed in certain situations without you knowing about it. That's clinical. But again, enough about depression. Negative emotions, I think they're necessary. And the problem is sometimes society punishes them so hard, especially when it comes to men. We are not allowed to cry, to embrace certain emotions. Men cannot cry outside, and just sometimes you feel this need to cry, and you cry in front of others. People are going to see you as weak. We give values and traits to certain people based on the emotions they feel. If you feel angry, you are an angry person. If you feel sad and cry, you're just a baby, right? And if you feel happy, you're just don't care about the world, right? You're just shallow and don't really think too much about stuff because you just are ignorant, right? So we try to give people certain traits based on the emotions they feel most of the time, and which is not supposed to be done, to be honest. I think people are allowed and should feel the emotions they are experiences, because emotions help you build up your life and change things about yourself that are your brain is constantly alarming you and telling you, look, this is causing you this, you got to change this, you got to change that. But if society and people around you constantly like help you or like get you to suppress your emotions, I don't think that's healthy. At some point in your life, you're going to explode and do something that you ultimately can't control. So it is very healthy sometimes you just to let those emotions out and embrace your sadness. Just feel sadness, right? Feel or cry. If you feel like you want to cry, just cry, embrace it. It is, although it might feel sad, but sometimes like you start to cry and it feels good. Like imagine like crying feels good, right? And you just keep crying and you cry and you cry and but it's in a way it's like a helpful cry. You cry, but at the same time you're like, oh my God, I could have. You're thinking at the same time, right? So embracing that emotion sometimes help you build up resilience and make you a stronger person, right? As opposed to if you just embrace the positive emotions all the time and don't really think too much about negative emotions. Yeah, the idea that one day science is going to advance to a point where we don't need to care about uh, negative emotions, I think it's a flawed in of its own. We might as well just be robots, don't feel a thing, because bots don't feel a thing. If there is just happiness, I don't think there is, you wouldn't really experience happiness the same way as if there is also sadness. So an emotion that you give to a thing is relative, right? To another thing, to an opposite thing, right? So sadness has to be experienced in contrast with happiness, right? There is no such thing as just happiness. If let's say I'm in an island and I find an object, and that object is, I don't know, shaped in a certain way, I wouldn't think that object is special because it's the only object, right? But once I have other objects to compare that object to, then I would start to assign value to the things that I have. This object is better than this one. This is the best amongst all. So once you have a lot of a thing, then you will start to give value to things. But if you have just one emotion, which is happiness, I don't think it's going to be as important as it is right now. Yeah, a topic I thought I should be explored. Just tell me, what do you think? Do you think we should embrace our emotions whenever you feel sad? Should you just hurry up and go and try to cheer up and find something just to get yourself out of that dark cloud? Or should you just embrace your emotion? Just, let yourself be sad for a moment, and maybe you can cheer yourself up later, right? So yeah. Or do you think maybe letting or just giving up or surrendering yourself to these emotions is negative? Maybe it's, you are going to develop a habit, and eventually you will just look for the opportunity to just cry or feel sad and just give in to whatever emotion is around. But yeah, thank you so much for listening. Hopefully you like today's topic. Until then, bye.